Let's talk about this Judge Boasberg of the D.C. court, the federal district court, who is all over Trump on these deportations of the Tren de Aragua suspected gang members. Trump says these are gang members. Tom Homan says they're gang members. We've done our homework. That's who they are. And we are shipping them out of the country with a ride. I mean, we're being courteous to them, giving them a ride, although it ends in El Salvador at a prison, which is generally where gang members wind up, whether it's domestically or internationally. And this judge is losing his mind that Trump is not doing everything he's commanding him to do. And this is the closest thing we've seen yet to a constitutional crisis. You know how the left has been throwing that term around. And it's not because of Trump. It's because of a judge who thinks he's the president. This Judge Boasberg is speaking to Donald Trump as though he's the judge's underling, his clerk, who needs to run around answering the judge's every little question. This is foreign policy. And this is where Trump is at the apex of his power, which Judge Boasberg doesn't seem to understand. I just want to give you a little overview of what Julie Kelly, so great on the J6 cases, reported happened inside the hearing yesterday.
Terrific.
Where Boasberg, who had said to Trump on Saturday, do not send those planes to El Salvador, any remaining planes, and the ones that are in the air, turn them around and bring them back to the United States. Well, that didn't happen with the 3 planes. The Trump administration is saying, look, they were in the air and we're not turning planes around mid-air when they're out of U.S. airspace to come back to the U.S. Stephen Miller pointing out yesterday, did the judge have any idea how much fuel was in the planes? Did he have any idea what the flight time was of the crew on board and whether that was safe for them to do, to turn it around? Like, this is so out of order what the judge is doing. And with the 3rd flight, that's the one we're not sure whether that took flight after the judge ordered it not to. Whatever. All of this is extrajudicial behavior because the Alien Enemies Act says he doesn't get to review presidential declarations under that act. All right, so that's where we are. But let me just give you a little feel for what Julie Kelly says happened yesterday. She writes, this is 16 hours ago. Hearing now underway in Judge Boasberg's courtroom on his nationwide temporary restraining order related to the president's March 15th proclamation invoking the Alien Enemies Act. Boasberg acted within hours of a lawsuit filed by the ACLU on behalf of 5 suspected Venezuelan terrorists. By the way, Trump did not deport those 5. He listened to the judge and said, all right, we can hash it out over those 5, but these others, they're going. Boasberg, I've scheduled this hearing for fact-finding on the government's response to my order. We're focusing on a timeline involved. I want to get a sense of the numbers. I just want facts, not planning to issue any ruling about the government's conduct. Yes, the DOJ, if it's still true that the 5 individual plaintiffs are in the U.S., DOJ says yes. How many planes departed the U.S. on Saturday under the proclamation? DOJ says flights complied with his order but won't disclose more. Boasberg, to anyone, including me? DOJ, yes. Boasberg, based on what? DOJ cites national security concerns and flight patterns. Boasberg, you're saying it's classified? I can receive classified information. Okay, then he goes on. Here's a list of questions I want answered, and you can tell me why you won't give me these answered. And the deadline to answer is noon today, Tuesday. How many planes left at any time Saturday based solely on the proclamation by President Trump? How many people were on each plane? In what country did the planes land? What time did they take off? What time did they land? When were they in airspace? What time were individuals on the plane transferred to custody? Now he asked the ACLU if they have any questions that they want answered by the Trump administration. So the ACLU is now directing our foreign policy about these flights. Julie Kelly continues, there are 3 flights at issue. 2, and I think she's repeating what the judge was saying. There are 3 flights at issue, 2 that left before, no, sorry, this is her. 2 that left before any written order, and that the DOJ says did not include individuals covered under the Alien Enemies Act, and 1 that might have departed after Boasberg's minute order posted on 7:30 Saturday. ACLU wants a sworn statement that the 3rd flight did not include illegals covered by Trump's proclamation. Boasberg tells DOJ he will order the government to file a sworn statement as to the 3rd flight. The ACLU is in charge of foreign policy. Boasberg, now you can tell me why the other 2 flights complied with my order. How? How did they comply with my order? DOJ again argues Boasberg's oral statement during the March 15th 5 p.m. hearing was not controlling, that this order went into effect once it was posted on the docket. They're trying to say the flights may have taken off after the oral ruling that they shouldn't take off, but I'm trying to get this right. he issued the oral ruling, and they're saying that didn't control. What controlled was the written minute order that posted. And these flights took off before the written order was posted. But they're also arguing, out of the same other side of the mouth, you didn't have the authority to issue this order anyway. Here we go. I'm almost getting to you, Charlie. Stand by. Boasberg's now agitated that his verbal direction to return the planes during the hearing is not considered controlling. Boasberg's now saying the DOJ should not have allowed any planes to take off on Saturday at all because the DOJ knew Boasberg would be holding a hearing at 5 p.m. And Boasberg's first minute order related only to the 5 illegal plaintiffs. Boasberg's saying the Trump administration should not have executed the president's order because Boasberg was going to hold a hearing that evening and maybe stop the government from deporting under the Alien Enemies Act. Okay. That's where we'll kick it off today. What is happening here and your reaction to this judge?
I mean, there is so much to unpack. And Megyn, what a wonderful intro. And I'm really happy to be able to comment on this. First and foremost, I encourage everyone in your audience to check out Stephen Miller's about 10-minute masterclass that he had on CNN the other day.
It was amazing.
Where he was going through point by point. It was a 10. And Stephen is a dear friend. And we worked together on a lot of different stuff. And I don't pump up him unless he's really, hit it. I mean, it was one of the most effective cable news segments. And the CNN host, she had no idea what was going on. But essentially to distill it and then to add some additional commentary, what we have seen over the last 40 years especially, but over the last 100 years, is the concentration of power in Washington, D.C. is largely vested in the unelected bureaucracy and the unelected judiciary. This is against the Founding Fathers' original intent and design. The Founding Fathers never put in to the original framework this idea of a fourth branch of government. We are seeing that finally be criticized. That's what Doge is doing. And you see how the left is losing their mind. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're saying that, Elon Musk is a dictator because he dares to go after this unconstitutional idea that there needs to be this unelected, unaccountable branch of government with nearly unlimited amounts of power. Okay, this is now the second part what we're seeing, and both simultaneously are animating the activist left, which is, well, what if we also challenge the power of the unelected judiciary? This is not judiciable, and which meaning anything that happens overseas when it conducting foreign policy, a district court judge does not have jurisdiction over. He can try to invent some ways while he does, but the ramifications of this could directly impair national security. I could go through dozens of individual types of movements or actions that a president has done over the last 20, 30 years that, God forbid, a district court judge would get involved with. One that was very high profile during President Trump is when he took out the head of ISIS, widely celebrated by both Republicans and Democrats. Remember, President Trump said he died like a dog and, he was screaming. And what if a district court judge would have enjoined and said, you know what, actually, yeah, exactly. There was al-Baghdadi, exactly. And there was also Soleimani from Iran, but you're exactly right, al-Baghdadi. Yeah. What if a district court judge would have enjoined President Trump's ability to use American troops to go after the head of ISIS, saying, you know what, I want to learn more about actually who these troops are. I want to know the intelligence. I want to know really what's going on here. This is so outrageous to anybody that understands how American foreign policy must operate. Secondly, that the Constitution is very clear. This is an Article 2 question, that all authority when it comes to foreign policy vests in a commander-in-chief. That is the President of the United States. And I want to give a lot of credit to Stephen Miller and Susie Wiles and the White House team because they really thought this one through. You see, the kind of shallow analysis is, oh, the White House is moving so fast. They don't know what they're doing. No. If you look at how well prepared they have been for this, they picked the right fight. They wanted this one to go to the White House. Think of all the criteria that they were able to isolate here. Tren de Aragua. So every single one of these were people that were members of Tren de Aragua, which was mentioned and actually categorized even under Joe Biden as a foreign, operative word, a foreign terrorist organization from the Venezuelan government. That is number one. Number two, it involves foreign policy, so that a district court judge absolutely does not have jurisdiction over it. And number three, which I think is so incredibly important, is that they then domiciled the terrorists in a foreign country And President Bukele, who is awesome, by the way, is literally like laughing at this district court judge, like, yeah, you don't have jurisdiction over here. You don't have sovereignty here. You see, typically, the left, they made a big mistake here. The ACLU made a huge mistake. They took the bait. They said, oh my goodness, the president is invoking a 200-year-old law. Well, time out. The Constitution is over 200 years old. So I don't know exactly what they're getting at here, but they took the bait. They rushed into court. They sued. They said, oh, these murderers and these rapists, we have to make sure that they stay in America. When in reality, they thought they were getting President Trump and his administration to stop what they were doing. The Trump administration likely, I'm saying this just as a gut instinct, I don't have this on first-person authority, but I know the players involved and how sophisticated they are. They likely wanted the ACLU to sue on this particular matter, to have this eventually appealed to the Supreme Court, and get a declarative final judgment. And this is the final point I want to make on this, Megyn, which is we talk frequently about how we finally have a southern border, right? Border crossings are down 95 to 99%. We're finally seeing it. One of the reasons why that's possible is because the first couple years of Trump 1 was spent in the courts actually putting Remain in Mexico through the courts and getting a declarative decision at the Supreme Court. Putting, all the different pandemic-related emergency measures, working through the legal ramifications of what it means to actually have a southern border. That was done during Trump 1. Now during Trump 2, we're going through the same legal ramifications of actually being able to deport foreign nationals from our land who are terrorists, the worst of the worst. So credit to the Trump White House team. This judge is completely out of control. Remember, this judge is married to a radical left-wing lunatic. Secondly, also gave a slap on the wrist of Kevin Kleinsmith. You might remember that during all the Russiagate, FBI, FISA court stuff. This judge is an Obama appointee, is no good, and I'm so thrilled that the Trump administration is holding the line here to set a proper precedent that no district court judge should interfere with the President of the United States' ability to execute and perform foreign policy.
It's amazing when you think Joe Biden opened the southern border and said, come on in, facilitated the millions, literally millions of illegals, including illegal gang members who would commit murder in the United States. Come on in. And now as Trump is trying to correct what Joe Biden did, starting with the worst of the worst, the people who not only broke our laws to enter the country, but actually broke our laws once here by engaging in gang activity or murder or rape, et cetera. That's where he's beginning the efforts. That now we've got the ACLU involved. Now we've got the left filing legal challenges to slow it down. This is the hill they want to die on. Don't deport Venezuelan gang members. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is already sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs already this year. It's not too late for you, too. And you could have Birch Gold help you diversify into physical gold. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold for no money out of pocket. One recent 5-star review said Birch Gold was, quote, knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the letters MK to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, just text MK to 989898 and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.